A soft whimper broke the pre-dawn silence of Laurelhurst Park. Detective Sarah Connor followed the sound, her flashlight beam cutting through the mist that clung to the ground. 4 days of searching, and now this. "Over here," she called to her team. Voice hushed with urgency. Beneath the playground structure, partially hidden by overgrown bushes, lay a sight that stopped her cold, a massive German shepherd, fur matted with dirt and what looked like dried blood, curled protectively around a small child. The dog's amber eyes tracked their every movement, a low growl rumbling in his throat. "Lily Reynolds?" Sarah asked gently, crouching down but keeping her distance. The little girl, face smudged with dirt and tears, clutched the dog's fur. When she finally spoke, her words pierced Sarah's heart. "Mommy said Atlas would keep me safe until the good people came. Are you the good people? The bad men hurt Mommy and Daddy." Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments along with the city you're watching from now. Let's continue with the story. Portland in autumn held a particular kind of melancholy beauty. Laurelhurst Park's maples and oaks had begun their transformation, scattering amber and crimson leaves across rain-dampened paths. It was against this backdrop that Sarah Connor had been working tirelessly since the Reynolds case broke 4 days ago. Sarah, a 20-year veteran of the Portland Police Department, specialized in cases involving children. At 42, the lines around her eyes had deepened with each traumatic case. But nothing had prepared her for the scene at the Reynolds home, Matthew and Emma Reynolds, found dead in what initially appeared to be a murder-suicide. Their 7-year-old daughter, Lily, nowhere to be found. The German shepherd, Atlas, had been a surprising addition to the case file. Former K-9 unit, specially trained, retired early after taking a bullet in the line of duty 3 years ago. The Reynolds had adopted him 14 months ago. Around the same time they'd moved to Portland under mysterious circumstances. Sarah watched as the paramedics attempted to approach Lily. Atlas's stance shifted, his body placing itself between the strangers and the child. Despite his obvious exhaustion and the wound on his flank, his protective instinct remained unwavering. "He won't let anyone near her," Officer Jenkins muttered. "He's not just being protective," Sarah observed. "Look at his training posture. He's waiting for a command." 20 years working with K-9 units had taught her to recognize the signs. Lily Reynolds appeared physically intact despite her ordeal. Small for her age, with blonde hair tangled around a pale face, her blue eyes held the vacant stare of trauma. Her clothes, pink pajamas beneath a mud-stained raincoat too large for her frame, suggested she'd fled in haste. "Lily," Sarah called softly, keeping her distance. "Atlas is doing a good job protecting you. You're safe now." The girl's eyes flickered with recognition at the dog's name. She whispered something into the shepherd's ear. And to everyone's amazement, the animal immediately relaxed his stance, though he remained vigilant. "She needs medical attention," the paramedic said. "Her temperature's low, and she's showing signs of dehydration." Sarah nodded, but her mind was racing. The Reynolds case had just transformed entirely. Whatever had happened in that house, it was clear that Atlas had not merely accompanied the child's escape. He had been instrumental to her survival, and something told her that the initial murder-suicide theory was about to unravel completely. 5 days earlier, the Reynolds household had been filled with the mundane rhythm of family life. Emma Reynolds moved efficiently around their modest kitchen, placing a casserole on the dinner table while Matthew set out plates. Lily sat cross-legged on her chair, carefully drawing in her sketchbook while Atlas lay at her feet, his eyes never leaving the child. "Hands washed, sweetie?" Emma asked, tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. At 35. Emma maintained the sharp alertness that had made her exceptional in her former career as a corporate accountant. Before everything changed, before she discovered the numbers that didn't add up in Blackwood Enterprises' books. Lily nodded, showing her clean palms before returning to her drawing, a detailed sketch of Atlas standing guard beside her bed. The bond between the child and the retired K-9 had been immediate and profound when he joined their family 14 months ago. Matthew Reynolds glanced out the window for the third time in as many minutes. At 38, his once athletic frame had grown leaner, his eyes perpetually shadowed since returning from his final tour in Iraq. The diagnosis, severe PTSD, barely captured the darkness that occasionally consumed him. "Did you take your medication today?" Emma asked quietly as she placed a gentle hand on his arm. Matthew nodded, but his jaw remained tight. "Car's been parked across the street all afternoon. Black sedan, tinted windows." Emma's expression didn't change, but she squeezed his arm slightly. "Probably belongs to the new neighbors. Come sit down. Dinner's getting cold." This had become their delicate dance, distinguishing between Matthew's legitimate observations and the paranoia that sometimes gripped him. The tragedy was that tonight his instincts were correct. They had just finished dinner when Atlas's ears perked up. A low growl rumbled in his chest as he rose to his feet, eyes fixed on the back door. "Probably a raccoon again," Emma said lightly. But her eyes met Matthew's. A silent communication passed between them. "Lily Bear," Emma said, her voice carefully casual. "Remember our special hide-and-seek game? I think tonight's a good night to practice." Confusion flickered across Lily's face, but recognition followed. They had rehearsed this. "With Atlas?" she asked. "Yes, sweetheart. Take Atlas. Remember what Mommy taught you." Emma moved to Lily's side, slipping something into the pocket of the child's pajamas. "Your special medicine is in here. And take Mr. Whiskers, too." She handed Lily her stuffed cat, giving it a meaningful squeeze that made it crinkle slightly. Matthew had moved to the kitchen drawer, withdrawing his service pistol. "Go with your mother, Lily, now." Emma scooped up Lily's raincoat from the hook by the back door, draping it around the child's shoulders. "Atlas, protect," she commanded, her voice breaking slightly. The German shepherd straightened, his entire demeanor shifting into working mode. The sound of breaking glass from the front of the house spurred them into action. Matthew positioned himself between his family and the approaching threat. "The hidden passage," Emma whispered urgently. "Atlas knows the way. Trust him, Lily. He'll keep you safe until the good people find you." "Mommy, come with me," Lily pleaded, tears welling in her eyes. Emma knelt, pressing her locket into Lily's small hand. "Mommy and Daddy need to make sure the bad people don't follow you. Atlas will protect you. Remember our special words. Atlas guard, Atlas guide," Lily recited, her voice trembling. "Good girl. I love you more than all the stars in the sky." Emma kissed her forehead. "Now go." As Emma ushered Lily toward the concealed passage behind the pantry, installed when they first entered witness protection, the front door burst open. Matthew fired a warning shot. "Emma, run!" he shouted. "They're here!" What followed was chaos that Lily would only recall in fragmented nightmares. The deafening sound of gunshots, Atlas pushing her through the narrow passage, her mother's screams, a glimpse of her father grappling with a man in dark clothing, blood on the kitchen floor. Atlas guided Lily through the hidden passage that led to the storm drain behind their property, a route specifically designed as an emergency escape. The German shepherd moved with purpose, nudging Lily forward when she hesitated, his training overriding even his own pain when a bullet grazed his side during their escape. When they emerged several blocks away, rain had begun to fall. Lily stood frozen, shock setting in, her thin pajamas already soaking through. Atlas gently tugged at her raincoat sleeve, guiding her to put it on properly. Then, with gentle persistence, he led her away from the neighborhood, away from the pursuing footsteps, away from the home she would never see again. Atlas had a mission, programmed through months of specialized training: protect Lily, find safety, wait for rescue. And so began their days of hiding, with a 7-year-old girl's survival entirely dependent on a wounded German shepherd's devotion and training. The first night in Laurelhurst Park was the hardest. Rain fell in relentless sheets, turning the ground to mud and chilling Lily to the bone despite her raincoat. Atlas led her to a densely wooded area, where the canopy of trees provided some shelter from the downpour. The German shepherd circled the area several times, his training evident in the methodical way he secured their perimeter before settling beside Lily. "I want Mommy," Lily whispered, her small body shivering uncontrollably. Atlas pressed against her, sharing his warmth, his eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. The distant wail of sirens pierced the night, but Atlas made no move toward the sound, sensing danger still lurked too close. Lily drifted in and out of consciousness, her 7-year-old mind unable to process the horror she had witnessed. Each time she stirred, Atlas was there, his warm tongue gently licking her face, his solid presence a tether to reality. By morning, her fever had begun. Dawn broke with fog hanging low over the park. Atlas rose stiffly, the wound on his flank crusted with dried blood. He nudged Lily awake and led her deeper into the park, away from the morning joggers beginning to appear on the main paths. His military training had included survival tactics: find water, find shelter, remain undetected, and he applied these lessons now with single-minded purpose. They came upon a small maintenance shed near the park's eastern boundary. Atlas skirted around it cautiously before identifying a gap beneath the structure, just large enough for Lily to crawl through. The space underneath was dry, sheltered from view, and defensible, as close to secure as they could hope for. "I'm thirsty." "Atlas," Lily murmured, her lips cracked from dehydration. Her diabetes, usually carefully managed with Emma's meticulous care, was becoming a serious concern. The special medication Emma had slipped into her pocket would help, but Lily needed water to take it. Atlas seemed to understand. He left Lily concealed beneath the shed and returned 20 minutes later, his fur wet from the park's duck pond. He lay beside her, allowing her to drink the water that clung to his coat. It wasn't much, but it was enough for Lily to swallow one of her pills. By midday, hunger gnawed at them both. Atlas disappeared again, this time returning with half a sandwich he'd scavenged from a picnicker's momentarily unattended basket. He placed it gently before Lily, not taking a bite himself despite his obvious hunger. "You need to eat too," Lily insisted, breaking off a portion for him. This small act of compassion, even in her dire circumstances, would later bring tears to Detective Connor's eyes when Lily recounted it. As evening approached on their first full day in hiding, the temperature dropped. Lily's thin pajamas and raincoat provided insufficient protection against the autumn chill. Atlas grew restless, clearly torn between staying with Lily and seeking additional supplies. The decision was made for him when emergency lights flashed at the park's entrance. An ambulance had arrived for an unrelated incident, an elderly jogger suffering a heart attack. While the paramedics worked, Atlas seized his opportunity. He slipped away from their hiding place, returning 15 minutes later, dragging a thermal blanket that had fallen unnoticed from the emergency vehicle. This remarkable act of resource gathering demonstrated Atlas's exceptional training and intelligence. Emma had spent months working with the former K-9 officer on specialized commands and behaviors, preparing for a worst-case scenario she hoped would never come. Now those preparations were saving her daughter's life, wrapped in the silver thermal blanket. Lily's condition stabilized somewhat. She drifted into fitful sleep, clutching her mother's locket in one hand and Mr. Whiskers, her stuffed cat, in the other, unaware that the toy contained Emma's vital recorded evidence against James Blackwood's criminal organization. The pattern established itself over the next 3 days. Atlas would leave briefly to find water and food, always returning to guard Lily. He kept her hidden when search parties passed nearby. Somehow sensing these weren't the good people Emma had mentioned, his wound began to show signs of infection. Yet he never faltered in his duty. On the 3rd day, Lily's condition worsened. Her diabetes, inadequately managed despite Atlas's heroic efforts, was causing her blood sugar to fluctuate dangerously. She grew lethargic, her breathing shallow. Atlas paced anxiously around their hiding place, whining softly. That night, rain returned with thunderous force. The space beneath the shed began to flood, forcing them to abandon their shelter. Atlas guided Lily to the playground area, where the equipment offered some protection from the elements. Exhausted and feverish, Lily curled beneath the play structure. Atlas's body curved around her like a living shield. "Atlas," she whispered, her voice faint. "I don't feel good. I need Mommy's special doctor." She was referring to the endocrinologist who managed her diabetes. Atlas licked her face, then raised his head. Ears perked forward. He had made a decision. The risk of remaining hidden now outweighed the risk of seeking help. In the pre-dawn hours of the 5th day, he began to bark, not continuously, but in the specific pattern Emma had taught him to signal for help in safe circumstances. His calculated risk paid off when Detective Sarah Connor, working an early morning shift on the Reynolds case, heard the distinctive barking while passing near the park. Following the sound, her flashlight beam eventually caught the reflective strips on the thermal blanket wrapped around Lily. When Sarah approached, Atlas positioned himself between her and Lily, assessing the detective with intelligent eyes. It was only when Lily whispered the release command, "Atlas, friend," that the dog allowed Sarah close enough to see the child's condition. "Lily Reynolds?" Sarah had asked gently, hardly believing they had found the missing child alive after 4 days. Lily's response, "Mommy said Atlas would keep me safe until the good people came." would forever change how Sarah understood the bond between humans and animals, and set in motion the unraveling of a conspiracy that reached far beyond a simple murder-suicide. The emergency room at Portland Memorial buzzed with controlled chaos as medical staff worked to stabilize Lily Reynolds. Sarah Connor watched through the glass partition as doctors assessed the child's condition: severe dehydration, hypoglycemia from poorly managed diabetes, mild hypothermia, and the psychological trauma whose depths they had only begun to plumb. Throughout it all, Atlas remained a steadfast presence, having refused to be separated from Lily despite hospital protocols. One look at the child's hysterical reaction when staff attempted to remove the dog had been enough for Sarah to intervene. "The dog stays," she had informed the attending physician. "Dr. Eleanor Martinez. He's crucial to her psychological stability right now." Dr. Martinez, a veteran pediatrician with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes, had assessed the situation quickly. "I'll make an exception, but he'll need to be cleaned up first. That wound on his flank needs treatment anyway." Now, as a veterinary technician tended to Atlas in the same room where Lily received treatment, Sarah stepped into the hallway to make a call. "Chief, we've found Lily Reynolds alive," she reported. "She was in Laurelhurst Park, surviving with the family dog for the past 4 days." "Thank God," Chief Wilson breathed. "Any indication of what happened at the house?" "Nothing concrete yet. She's not speaking much, but what she has said doesn't align with our murder-suicide theory. She mentioned bad men hurting her parents." The father's service weapon was found in his hand. Connor, GSR on his fingers, his prints on the gun that killed his wife. "I know the evidence, sir, but something's not adding up. The dog—" "Not the dog again. Connor." Sarah pressed her lips together, containing her frustration. "With respect, Chief, this isn't just a pet. This is a highly trained former K-9 officer with specialized skills. The way he protected the child, the way he gathered supplies, including a thermal blanket from an ambulance, this goes beyond ordinary animal behavior." There was a pause on the line. "Fine. Follow your instincts, but tread carefully. The Reynolds case has attracted attention from upstairs. Federal interest." Sarah's investigative instincts sharpened. "Federal? Why would a domestic murder-suicide interest the feds? That's what you need to find out. Keep me posted." The line went dead. Sarah pocketed her phone, her mind racing. Federal interest meant there was much more to the Reynolds family than appeared on the surface. She needed to take another look at the crime scene. The Reynolds' modest 2-story home in northeast Portland remained cordoned off with police tape. Sarah ducked under it, nodding to the officer standing guard. Inside, the house told the story of lives interrupted. Family photos lined the hallway: Emma, Matthew, and Lily in happier times. Sarah paused at a recent one, noticing Atlas in the frame, standing protectively beside Lily. The kitchen, where Emma Reynolds had died from 2 gunshot wounds to the chest, had been processed by forensics, but bloodstains still marked the tile floor. Matthew Reynolds had been found in the living room, a single gunshot wound to his temple, his service pistol in his right hand. Initial investigation pointed to a clear narrative. Matthew, suffering from PTSD, had shot his wife during an episode, then turned the gun on himself. It was a tragedy, but not an uncommon one among veterans struggling with mental health issues after deployment. So why did Sarah feel like she was missing something crucial? She moved methodically through the house, seeing it with fresh eyes. In Lily's bedroom, colorful drawings covered one wall, many featuring Atlas. Several depicted the German shepherd standing guard while Lily slept. Others showed Atlas leading Lily through what looked like a tunnel. Sarah's attention shifted to a family photo on Lily's nightstand. Emma Reynolds' smiling face looked back at her. On impulse, Sarah turned the frame over and removed the backing. There, hidden behind the photo, was a small handwritten note. "If you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Trust no one. Blackwood knows. Evidence in whiskers. Atlas has protocol. E.R." Sarah's heart raced. This wasn't a random domestic tragedy. It was something far more calculated. She carefully pocketed the note and continued her search, eventually discovering a hidden passage behind the pantry, exactly like the one in Lily's drawings. The passage led to a storm drain that exited several blocks away. This had been a planned escape route. The Reynolds family had been prepared for danger. Back at the hospital, Lily had stabilized physically, though she remained withdrawn, speaking only to Atlas. Sarah entered the room carefully, sitting at a distance that wouldn't threaten the traumatized child. "Hi, Lily. I'm Detective Sarah. I'm here to help you and Atlas." Lily's eyes, so like her mother's in the photographs, regarded Sarah warily. She clutched a stuffed cat, Mr. Whiskers, Sarah presumed, and Emma's locket. "Atlas likes you," Lily finally said, noticing how the dog's posture remained relaxed in Sarah's presence. "He growls at the other police." Sarah nodded, filing away this information. "Atlas is very smart. He took really good care of you. Mommy trained him special," Lily said, stroking the dog's head, "for if the bad men ever came." "Can you tell me about the bad men, Lily?" The child's face clouded. "They hurt Daddy and Mommy. Atlas pulled me through the secret tunnel when the loud noises started." She buried her face in Atlas's fur, trembling. Sarah didn't push. Instead, she reached slowly into her pocket. "I found something in your room. A note from your mom." Lily's head snapped up. "Mommy left notes everywhere. She said it was our secret game." "Did she leave notes in special places?" Lily nodded. "In my books. Behind pictures. Inside Mr. Whiskers." Sarah's gaze fixed on the stuffed cat clutched in Lily's arms. "Inside Mr. Whiskers. Mommy put something inside him. She said I had to keep him safe until I found the good people." Lily hesitated, then extended the stuffed animal toward Sarah. "Are you the good people?" The trust in this simple gesture nearly broke Sarah's heart. "I'm trying to be, Lily. I promise." While Lily napped with Atlas keeping watch, Sarah carefully examined Mr. Whiskers in the hospital room's small bathroom. A seam along the stuffed cat's back had been neatly restitched. Sarah gently unpicked it, reaching inside to find a small USB drive and a voice recorder. She plugged the earbuds into the recorder and pressed play. Emma Reynolds' voice, tense but controlled, filled her ears. "My name is Emma Reynolds, formerly Emma Harrington. 2 years ago, while working as senior accountant at Blackwood Enterprises. I discovered evidence of extensive money laundering for several criminal organizations. I reported this to the FBI and entered witness protection with my husband Matthew and daughter Lily. The evidence on the accompanying drive provides transaction records, offshore account numbers, and communications that implicate James Blackwood and several public officials in these operations. I believe our witness protection has been compromised. We've observed surveillance on our home. Matthew's PTSD has worsened with the stress. If you're hearing this, it means something has happened to us. Please protect my daughter. The dog, Atlas, has been specially trained to guard her. He responds to commands only Lily and I know. Trust him. To whoever finds this, be careful. Blackwood has connections in law enforcement, including... The recording cut off abruptly. Sarah sat motionless, the implications overwhelming. Emma Reynolds had been a whistleblower preparing to testify against a powerful criminal organization. The murder-suicide wasn't a domestic tragedy. It was a hit made to look like one. And someone in law enforcement was involved. Across town, in a sleek downtown office, James Blackwood reviewed the report from his source within the Portland Police Department. The Reynolds girl had been found alive, with a dog. His thin lips pressed into a tight line as he considered the implications. The situation has complications, he informed the man seated across from him. The evidence may still exist. Lieutenant Richard Morris, head of Portland PD's Special Investigations Unit, shifted uncomfortably. My officer reports the girl isn't talking. Traumatized. The dog is just a dog. Blackwood's cold eyes narrowed. That dog was specifically chosen and trained by Emma Reynolds. Do not underestimate what she might have done to preserve her evidence. He stood, signaling the meeting was over. Find out what the girl knows. Find out what the dog might be protecting. Clean this up, Lieutenant. Your comfortable retirement fund depends on it. The next morning, Sarah reviewed Emma Reynolds' employment history. Before entering witness protection, Emma had worked for Blackwood Enterprises for 7 years, rising to senior accountant with access to the company's most sensitive financial information. Her FBI handler, Special Agent Marcus Donahue, had been found dead in an apparent robbery 6 months ago. Coincidence? Sarah doubted it. A knock on her office door interrupted her thoughts. Officer Peter Landon stood in the doorway, his expression professionally neutral. Chief wants an update on the Reynolds case. Still gathering information, Sarah replied carefully. Emma's warning about law enforcement connections had her on high alert. The girl's barely speaking. Landon nodded. I heard Special Investigations is taking over. Lieutenant Morris is assigning his team. Alarm bells rang in Sarah's mind. Special Investigations had no jurisdiction over a case like this unless there was a larger criminal element. Information she'd shared with no one but Chief Wilson. Thanks for the heads up, she said casually. I'll prepare my notes for handover. After Landon left, Sarah immediately called her former partner, now retired, David Martinez. David, I need everything you have on Lieutenant Richard Morris, off the record. That's a hornet's nest. Sarah, came the cautious reply. Why? The Reynolds case. I think Morris might be involved. A long pause. Meet me at Riverside Park in an hour. Come alone. Meanwhile, at Portland Memorial, Dr. Eleanor Martinez checked Lily's vital signs. You're doing much better today, she told the child with a warm smile. Your numbers are looking good." Lily offered a small smile in return, the first since her arrival. Atlas, freshly bathed and with his wound properly treated, lay on the bed beside her, his head resting protectively on her legs. "When can we go home?" Lily asked quietly. "Doctor," Martinez's heart ached. "How do you tell a 7-year-old that home no longer exists? Detective Connor is working on finding you a safe place to stay. With Atlas." Lily's voice trembled with anxiety. "Absolutely with Atlas," Dr. Martinez assured her. "No one's going to separate you two." A nurse entered with Lily's midday medication. Atlas's ears perked up, his body tensing slightly. "Doctor—" Martinez noticed his reaction. Remembering what Detective Connor had said about the dog's specialized training. "It's okay. Lisa's just bringing your medicine," she told Lily, but kept a curious eye on Atlas. The nurse, somewhat new to the pediatric floor, administered the medication through Lily's IV line. As she worked, Atlas's eyes never left her hands. When she finished and turned to leave, the German Shepherd relaxed visibly. "He watches everything," Dr. Martinez observed. "Mommy said Atlas knows bad medicine from good medicine," Lily explained simply. "He's super smart." The doctor paused, considering this statement. "What do you mean by bad medicine?" "Lily, medicine that makes you sick instead of better. Mommy taught Atlas to smell it." Dr. Martinez felt a chill. Drug detection was standard training for police dogs, but this sounded more specific, as if Emma Reynolds had been concerned about someone deliberately harming Lily. She made a mental note to share this information with Detective Connor. At Riverside Park, Sarah spotted David Martinez on a bench overlooking the Willamette River. At 62, her former partner still maintained the sharp awareness that had made him an excellent detective. "Morris has been living beyond his means for years," David said without preamble, handing her a file. "Vacation home in Bend, kid in private college, wife with expensive tastes. Nothing in his background explains the money." Sarah scanned the documents. "Financial investigation. Never happened. Every time Internal Affairs starts looking, the investigation gets shut down from above." David's expression was grim. "There's more. Morris handled 3 cases involving Blackwood Enterprises employees over the past decade. All ruled suicides. All had recently accessed company financial records." "Jesus," Sarah breathed. "He's Blackwood's cleaner. And he's powerful. Sarah, connected all the way to the state level. Whatever you've stumbled into, you need to be careful. The Reynolds girl is the key. She and that dog survived 4 days hiding from someone. Morris will try to get to her." David nodded. "You need secure evidence and witnesses before you move on this. And you need allies you can trust." Sarah thought of Dr. Martinez at the hospital, who had bent rules to keep Atlas with Lily. "I might have one." As evening fell, Lily sat up suddenly in her hospital bed. Atlas, who had been dozing beside her, immediately became alert, his ears forward. "What is it?" "Lily?" Dr. Martinez asked, looking up from the chart she was reviewing. "Atlas hears something," Lily whispered. "His special hearing ears." Dr. Martinez had learned to trust the child's interpretation of the dog's behavior. She moved to the door, peering into the hallway. A man in a police uniform was speaking with the floor nurse. showing her identification. "I need to check on the Reynolds girl," he was saying. "Lieutenant's orders." Dr. Martinez stepped back into the room, her decision immediate. "Lily, we need to move you to another room for a little while. Can you come with me right now?" The fear in the doctor's voice registered with Lily, who nodded solemnly. Atlas jumped down from the bed, positioning himself between Lily and the door. "Doctor." Martinez helped Lily into a wheelchair, then led them through a staff door to the service elevator. As the doors closed, they heard a man's voice calling, "Excuse me, doctor." The elevator descended to the hospital's lower level, where Dr. Martinez guided them to the radiology department's night duty room. "Stay here," she instructed. "I'm going to call Detective Connor." Lily sat huddled in the wheelchair, one hand buried in Atlas's fur. "The bad men found us again," she whispered to the dog. "But you'll protect me. Right, Atlas?" The German shepherd pressed against her, eyes fixed on the door, ready to defend his young charge against whatever threat might come. In his steadfast devotion, in his unwavering vigilance, lay the echo of Emma Reynolds' final act of love, entrusting her daughter's life to this extraordinary animal when she could no longer protect her herself. And as Dr. Martinez urgently contacted Sarah Connor, the pieces of a conspiracy that had shattered one family and now threatened a traumatized little girl began to align, moving inexorably toward a confrontation that would expose corruption in the highest levels of Portland's power structure, all because a mother's love, a child's trust, and a dog's loyalty proved stronger than the elaborate machinations of evil men. Sarah Connor's police cruiser screeched to a halt in the emergency bay of Portland Memorial. Her phone call with Dr. Martinez had been brief but alarming. Someone impersonating an officer had attempted to access Lily's room. The doctor had moved Lily and Atlas to a secure location within the hospital, but they needed to be relocated immediately. Sarah entered through the staff entrance, badge ready, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She took the service stairs rather than the elevator, emerging on the lower level where the radiology department was housed. Dr. Martinez met her in the hallway, tension evident in her stance. "They're in the reading room," the doctor whispered. The man asking for Lily showed proper identification, Portland PD, but something felt wrong. When I checked with the nurses' station after moving Lily, they said he became agitated when he couldn't find her. He's still in the building, and he's called for backup. "Did you get his name?" Sarah asked. "Officer Thomas Jenkins." Sarah's blood ran cold. Jenkins was one of Lieutenant Morris's direct reports in special investigations. Her suspicions were confirmed. Morris was making his move. "We need to get Lily out of here now," Sarah said. "Is there another exit we can use?" Dr. Martinez nodded. "The service dock. I can get you there through the basement corridors." When they entered the reading room, Lily was curled in a ball on a chair, Atlas standing guard beside her. The German shepherd's ears perked up at Sarah's entrance, but he maintained his protective stance. "Lily," Sarah said gently, "we need to go somewhere safe. Will you come with me?" The child studied her with those discerning eyes that seemed too old for her 7 years. "Atlas trusts you," she finally said. "But the bad men are here again, aren't they?" "Some people who work with the bad men," Sarah confirmed, seeing no point in lying to the child. "But I won't let them hurt you, I promise." Lily nodded solemnly.
Mommy said if the bad men ever found us, we should run and hide until the special evidence was safe. Her small hand patted the stuffed cat tucked under her arm. Sarah exchanged a glance with Dr. Martinez. I have the evidence from Mr. Whiskers. Lily, you kept it safe, just like your mom wanted. There's more, Lily whispered. Mommy put it in lots of places. She said Atlas knows where. Before Sarah could process this revelation, her police radio crackled. All units, be advised officer needs assistance at Portland Memorial Hospital, pediatric floor, possible kidnapping in progress of witness Lily Reynolds. They're cutting off our escape routes. Sarah realized. We need to move. Now. Dr. Martinez led them through a maze of basement corridors, passing storage rooms and maintenance areas. Atlas stayed close to Lily, who clung to Sarah's hand. They had almost reached the service dock when a door ahead of them opened. Officer Jenkins stepped through, hand moving to his weapon when he spotted them. Detective Connor, he said, voice carefully neutral. Lieutenant Morris has been looking for you. There's concern about the safety of the Reynolds girl. I'm sure there is, Sarah replied, subtly positioning herself in front of Lily. But she's under my protection now. Jenkins. Jenkins's expression hardened. This isn't your case anymore. Connor, orders from the top. The girl needs to come with me. No. The single word hung in the air between them. Jenkins drew his weapon. Don't make this difficult. There are officers at every exit. Morris just wants to ask the kid some questions. About what her mother knew, Sarah challenged. About the evidence against Blackwood. Something flickered in Jenkins's eyes, surprised that she knew so much. Calculation about how to proceed. In that moment of hesitation, Atlas made his move. The German shepherd lunged forward with military precision, clamping his powerful jaws around Jenkins' gun wrist. The officer cried out, his weapon clattering to the floor. Dr. Martinez grabbed Lily, pulling her back as Sarah dove for the gun. "Call him off!" Jenkins shouted, struggling against the dog's grip. "Atlas, hold!" Lily commanded in a shaking voice. Using one of her mother's training commands, the dog maintained his grip without causing further injury, a perfect control technique from his K-9 training. Sarah secured Jenkins' weapon and withdrew her handcuffs. "Officer Thomas Jenkins, you're under arrest for attempted kidnapping and conspiracy. You have the right to remain silent?" After securing Jenkins to a pipe along the wall and confiscating his radio, Sarah turned to Dr. Martinez. "They'll find him soon. We need another way out." The doctor hesitated only briefly. "My car's in the staff garage. If we can get there, I can drive you somewhere safe." "That's aiding a fugitive," Sarah warned. Dr. Martinez's expression was resolute. "That child has been through enough. I took an oath to do no harm, and letting her fall into the hands of the men who killed her parents would definitely qualify as harm." Their escape from the hospital became a tense game of evasion. Twice they had to duck into storage rooms to avoid searching officers. Lily remained eerily calm throughout, whispering directions to Atlas, who seemed to understand every word. The dog's training became evident when he stopped suddenly at an intersection. Hackles raised, moments before two officers passed by his hearing, detecting their approach long before the humans could. When they finally reached Dr. Joel Martinez's sedan in the dimly lit staff garage, Sarah's phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. Morris has called in FBI. Claims you've kidnapped key witness. Be careful. DM. David Martinez was warning her that the net was closing. Once federal agents became involved, her authority as a local detective would be meaningless. We need somewhere off the grid, Sarah told Dr. Martinez as they pulled out of the garage. Lily and Atlas huddled in the back seat. Somewhere not connected to any of us. I have a cabin, the doctor offered. In the Mount Hood National Forest. It's registered under my maiden name. Very isolated. Sarah nodded. Perfect. But first, we need to make a stop. The storage facility on the outskirts of Portland was nondescript, one of dozens in the city. Sarah directed Dr. Martinez to park a block away, then turned to Lily in the back seat. Lily, your mom mentioned that Atlas knows where more evidence is hidden. Did she ever bring you to a place like this? She showed the child a picture of the storage facility on her phone. Lily's eyes widened with recognition. The treasure boxes Mommy brought me and Atlas here before. She said if anything bad happened, Atlas would remember the way. Sarah exchanged a glance with Dr. Martinez. Do you think Atlas could lead us to the right unit? He's not just a regular dog, Lily said with absolute certainty. Mommy trained him special. He remembers everything. With the facility under video surveillance, they needed to move quickly. Sarah created a distraction by calling in an anonymous tip about suspicious activity on the opposite side of the complex. As security responded, she led Lily and Atlas to a side entrance, Dr. Martinez keeping watch in the car. Once inside, Sarah whispered to Lily, Can you tell Atlas to find Mommy's special place? Lily knelt beside the German shepherd. Atlas, find Mommy's treasure. Find the special place. The command activated something in the dog's training. Atlas immediately set off down one of the long corridors of storage units, moving with purpose. He led them to Unit 247, where he sat expectantly, looking back at Lily. This is it, Lily confirmed. But we need the special numbers. Sarah examined the keypad lock on the unit. Do you know the code, Lily? The child shook her head, but then brightened. Atlas knows Mommy taught him to show the numbers with his paw. She turned to the dog. Atlas, show the special numbers. In an astonishing display of training, Atlas raised his paw and tapped the keypad 5 times in sequence 72519. The lock clicked open. Inside the small storage unit were several waterproof containers neatly labeled. Sarah quickly examined the contents' financial records, photographs, recorded conversations, and most damning of all, a detailed ledger showing payments from Blackwood Enterprises to various officials, including Lieutenant Richard Morris of the Portland Police Department. Your mom was very thorough. Lily, Sarah said, gathering the most crucial evidence into her backpack. She was a very brave woman. Is this enough to stop the bad men? Lily asked, her small voice hopeful. Yes, sweetheart, this is more than enough. As they turned to leave, Atlas suddenly stiffened, a low growl rumbling in his throat. Sarah immediately doused her flashlight, placing a finger to her lips. Footsteps echoed down the corridor outside, accompanied by a familiar voice. I want every unit in this section checked. The dog would have brought the kid here. It's where Emma Reynolds stored her insurance policy. Lieutenant Morris had found them. Sarah quickly assessed their options. The storage unit had no rear exit. They were trapped unless they could somehow slip past Morris and his men. She leaned down to whisper in Lily's ear, We need Atlas to create a distraction. Can you ask him to do that? Lily nodded solemnly. Atlas. Distraction, she whispered. One of the commands Emma had taught him. Go make noise far away. The German shepherd immediately understood. He slipped out of the partially open door and disappeared down the corridor. Moments later, they heard barking and growling from the opposite end of the facility, followed by shouts as Morris's men pursued the sound. Now, Sarah urged, guiding Lily out of the unit and toward the exit where Doctors Martinez waited. They had almost reached safety when a figure stepped out of the shadows directly in their path. Detective Connor, Lieutenant Morris said, his weapon trained on them. You've led me on quite a chase. Sarah pushed Lily behind her. It's over. Morris, I have the evidence. Emma Reynolds documented everything, your payments from Blackwood, the cover-ups, all of it. Morris's face remained impassive. Hand over the backpack, and maybe I'll let the kid live. Blackwood just wants the evidence destroyed. He doesn't need any more dead children on his conscience. Like he had a conscience when he ordered the hit on Emma and Matthew Reynolds, Sarah countered, playing for time. Where was Atlas? Business is business. Morris shrugged. Matthew complicated things by fighting back. It was supposed to look like a simple murder-suicide. A troubled veteran finally snaps. No one would have questioned it if the kid and that damned dog hadn't escaped. And now you'll kill a police officer and a child. How will you explain that? Morris's smile was cold. You kidnapped a traumatized child from the hospital in your unstable state. You threatened her life when cornered. I had no choice but to use lethal force. Tragic, but straightforward. As he raised his weapon, a blur of motion erupted from behind a nearby storage unit. Atlas launched himself at Morris, his training perfectly executed as he went for the arm holding the gun. The lieutenant fired once, the bullet ricocheting off a metal door, before Atlas's weight brought him crashing to the ground. Sarah drew her own weapon. Atlas, hold, she commanded, and the dog maintained his grip on Morris's arm without inflicting serious damage. Perfect police canine technique. Distant sirens wailed, growing closer. Morris laughed despite his predicament. That'll be my backup, Connor. It's still your word against mine, and I've got friends in high places. Not anymore, came a new voice. FBI Special Agent Diana Williams stepped into view, weapon drawn. Lieutenant Richard Morris, you're under arrest for conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and the murders of Emma and Matthew Reynolds. Behind Agent Williams came David Martinez, recording device in hand. Got it all. Sarah. Every word of his confession. Morris's face contorted with rage as he realized he'd been outmaneuvered. This isn't over. Blackwood has reach even the FBI can't touch. Not anymore, Agent Williams replied coolly. James Blackwood was arrested 20 minutes ago, based on evidence Emma Reynolds provided to us through a second FBI contact after her handler was killed. We've been building this case for months. We just needed your confession to complete it. As Morris was taken into custody, Lily rushed to Atlas, throwing her arms around the dog's neck. You did it. Atlas, you kept me safe until the good people came, just like Mommy said. Sarah knelt beside them, gently checking Atlas for injuries. The German shepherd appeared unharmed, his training having enabled him to subdue Morris without placing himself in the direct line of fire. Your mom would be so proud of both of you, Sarah told Lily, her voice thick with emotion. You were so brave, and Atlas was amazing. Agent Williams approached them. We need to get you both to a secure location. There are still Blackwood associates unaccounted for. Sarah nodded, lifting Lily into her arms. I know just the place. Dr. Martinez is waiting with her car. She has a cabin where Lily and Atlas can rest while we sort this out. As they walked toward the exit, Lily rested her head on Sarah's shoulder, one hand still reaching down to maintain contact with Atlas. The German Shepherd walked beside them, alert and protective as ever, embodying the final act of love from a mother who had anticipated danger and prepared for it in the most extraordinary way by entrusting her daughter's life to a remarkable animal capable of understanding complex commands, finding hidden evidence, and most importantly, giving comfort to a child who had lost everything. The conspiracy that had claimed Emma and Matthew Reynolds was beginning to unravel, but the journey toward healing for their daughter was just beginning. As they emerged into the cool night air, Sarah made a silent promise to the parents who could no longer protect their child. Lily would be safe. Lily would be loved, and the bond between the little girl and her extraordinary guardian would remain unbroken. Dr. Martinez's cabin sat nestled among towering pines, the scent of forest and wood smoke creating a sanctuary far removed from the chaos they'd left behind in Portland. Dawn was breaking over Mount Hood, casting golden light through the trees as Sarah Connor stood on the porch, coffee mug in hand, watching Atlas explore the perimeter of the property. The German Shepherd moved with purpose, his training evident in the methodical way he investigated every potential entry point before returning to the cabin door where Lily slept inside. 2 days had passed since their narrow escape from Lieutenant Morris. In that time, the case against James Blackwood and his network had begun to unfold in spectacular fashion. The evidence Emma Reynolds had meticulously gathered was damning financial records, recorded conversations, photographs linking Blackwood to corrupt officials across 3 states. The investigation had expanded to include 2 judges, a state representative, and several high-ranking law enforcement officers. Sarah's phone vibrated with a text from Agent Williams. Morris talking. Blackwood denied bail. Safe to bring Lily in for statement tomorrow. Inside the cabin, Dr. Martinez was preparing breakfast when Sarah returned. Any news? The doctor asked. They're ready for Lily's statement. Sarah replied, keeping her voice low to avoid waking the child. The case is solid, but hearing directly from Lily about what happened that night will help ensure Blackwood never sees freedom again. Dr. Martinez's expression clouded. Is she ready for that, reliving that trauma? I don't know, Sarah admitted, but she's stronger than we give her credit for. And she has Atlas. As if summoned by his name, Atlas trotted in from his perimeter check, pausing to accept a gentle pat from Dr. Martinez before settling outside Lily's door. His devotion to the child remained unwavering, a living testament to Emma Reynolds' foresight. Sarah had spent hours reviewing the additional evidence from the storage unit, piecing together the events that led to the tragedy. Emma Reynolds had become aware of financial irregularities at Blackwood Enterprises 3 years earlier. As senior accountant, she had access to records showing massive money laundering operations benefiting not only James Blackwood, but a network of officials who facilitated his criminal enterprises. Emma had taken her discoveries to the FBI, becoming a key witness in a case that threatened to expose corruption at the highest levels. The family had entered witness protection, relocating to Portland under new identities. Matthew, already struggling with PTSD from his military service, had found the constant vigilance and isolation increasingly difficult to manage. Emma, recognizing the toll it was taking on her husband and concerned about their safety, had implemented additional security measures of her own. Atlas had been her masterpiece of preparation. Emma had specifically selected the retired K-9 officer and spent months on specialized training beyond his police work. Bank records showed she had consulted with private security experts, animal behaviorists, and even a former military dog handler. Atlas had been trained to respond to discreet commands, to recognize threats, to find hidden locations, and most critically, to protect Lily at all costs. What happened on that final night was becoming clearer through forensic evidence and Morris's confession. Blackwood's men had infiltrated the witness protection program through corrupted officials. They had come for Emma, intending to eliminate the key witness before the case went to trial. Matthew, despite his struggles, had fought to protect his family. The initial shots fired had been his warning shots to buy time for Emma and Lily to escape through the hidden passage. The killers had shot Matthew multiple times before staging his body with the gun in his hand. Emma had been caught in the kitchen, still trying to delay the intruders to ensure Lily's escape. Both parents had died protecting their child, their sacrifice made meaningful by Atlas's successful fulfillment of his mission to keep Lily safe until help arrived. A small sound from the bedroom drew Sarah's attention. Lily stood in the doorway, hair tousled from sleep, Atlas immediately at her side. "Good morning, sweetheart," Sarah said gently. "Did you sleep okay?" Lily nodded, one hand resting on Atlas's head. Atlas kept the bad dreams away. Dr. Martinez set a plate of pancakes on the table. "Breakfast is ready when you are." Lily. As they ate, Sarah carefully broached the subject of returning to Portland. "The people who helped catch the bad men would like to talk to you tomorrow, Lily, about what happened at your house that night." Fear flickered across the child's face. "Will the bad men be there?" "No, honey. They're locked up where they can't hurt anyone else." Lily considered this, absently feeding a bite of pancake to Atlas. "Will you and Atlas be with me?" "The whole time?" Sarah promised. "You won't have to do anything alone." Lily nodded solemnly. "Mommy always said we have to be brave to stop bad people. That's why she collected all the treasure papers." The simple wisdom in the child's words caught Sarah off guard. Emma Reynolds had instilled in her daughter not just survival skills, but a moral compass, an understanding that standing against wrongdoing required courage, even at great personal cost. After breakfast, Sarah took Lily for a walk around the cabin grounds, Atlas trotting alongside them. The child seemed to draw strength from the forest setting, her steps becoming lighter the further they ventured from the cabin. "My daddy used to take me hiking," Lily shared unexpectedly, "before he got sick in his mind." Sarah glanced down at her. "Your daddy was a hero, Lily. He fought very hard to protect you and your mom." "I know," Lily said simply. "He was fighting the bad men, not Mommy. I saw him trying to stop them." Sarah stopped walking, kneeling to meet Lily's eyes. "You saw what happened." Lily nodded, her expression solemn beyond her years. "I was in the secret tunnel, but I could see through the little holes Mommy made for checking if it was safe. Daddy was shooting at the bad men. They hurt him. And then they hurt Mommy." Her voice wavered, but didn't break. Atlas pulled me away when they started looking for me. He wouldn't let me go back, even when I tried. Sarah gathered the child into a gentle embrace, her heart breaking anew at the thought of what Lily had witnessed. Your dad and Mom loved you very much. They did everything they could to keep you safe. And they gave me Atlas, Lily added, her small arms tightening around Sarah's neck. Mommy said he would be my guardian angel with fur. The German shepherd moved closer, pressing against both of them as if understanding the gravity of the conversation. His intelligence and devotion continued to amaze Sarah. This wasn't just exceptional training, but a bond that transcended ordinary human-animal relationships. Later that afternoon, as Lily napped with Atlas curled protectively beside her, Sarah reviewed her notes one final time before their return to Portland. The evidence was overwhelming, the case against Blackwood and his network solidifying by the hour. Justice for Emma and Matthew Reynolds was within reach. Yet the question that had been growing in Sarah's mind remained unresolved. What would happen to Lily now? The child had no known relatives. She would become a ward of the state unless an alternative could be found. And what of Atlas' standard procedure would separate them? Service animals rarely remained with their handlers after death, particularly when the new guardian was a child. The thought of separating Lily from Atlas after all they had endured was unthinkable. The dog wasn't merely a pet or even a trained protector. He represented safety, continuity, and unconditional love in a world that had violently upended everything else the child knew. As if sensing her thoughts, Dr. Martinez joined Sarah on the porch. I've been making some calls, she said quietly. About Lily's situation. Sarah looked up. And there's a program for children of federal witnesses who've been killed. They provide specialized placement with families equipped to handle the unique challenges. Given the high-profile nature of the Blackwood case, Lily would qualify. But Atlas, Dr. Martinez smiled. That's where it gets interesting. I spoke with a colleague who serves on the board of the Pacific Northwest Canine Foundation. Given Atlas's extraordinary service and the documented training Emma provided, they believe he could be officially classified as a service animal for Lily, specifically for PTSD and emotional support following traumatic loss. That designation would legally protect their bond. Hope flickered in Sarah's chest. So they could stay together. Potentially, yes. With the right placement. Dr. Martinez hesitated. Sarah, I've seen how you are with her. Have you considered? The question hung in the air between them. Had Sarah considered taking Lily and Atlas herself? The thought had been forming in her mind since that first morning in the park, though she'd hardly dared acknowledge it. I'm a single detective with unpredictable hours, Sarah said softly. Is that fair to a child who's already lost so much? Emma Reynolds was a single mother preparing to testify in a dangerous federal case. Dr. Martinez pointed out, she made it work because she loved her daughter and was committed to doing what was right. I see those same qualities in you. Before Sarah could respond, Atlas appeared in the doorway, his posture alerting them that Lily was awake. The child emerged moments later, rubbing sleep from her eyes, immediately brightening when she saw Sarah. In that moment, watching Lily cross the porch to slip her small hand trustingly into her own, Sarah knew with absolute certainty what Emma Reynolds would have wanted for her daughter. and what she herself wanted more than anything, a chance to provide this extraordinary child and her equally extraordinary canine guardian with the home, safety, and love they so richly deserved. The tragedy that had brought them together was immeasurable, but from that darkness, perhaps a new family could emerge, one bound not by blood, but by something equally powerful: shared courage, mutual protection, and the kind of love that transcends even the most heartbreaking loss. The Portland FBI field office had transformed a standard interview room into a space designed to minimize trauma for a child witness. Gone were the harsh fluorescent lights and metal furniture, replaced with comfortable seating, soft lighting, and even a small table with art supplies. Sarah Connor observed these modifications with approval as Agent Diana Williams led her through the final preparations for Lily's statement. "We'll record the session, but keep it as conversational as possible," Agent Williams explained. "No uniforms, no visible weapons. Dr. Harriman, our child psychologist, will guide the questioning." She hesitated before adding, "The dog has been cleared to stay with her throughout." "Atlas," Sarah corrected gently. "His name is Atlas, and he's the reason Lily survived." Agent Williams nodded. "Of course. I've reviewed the canine training reports you provided. Emma Reynolds went to extraordinary lengths with his preparation." She shook her head in quiet amazement. The foresight required to train a dog to recognize and respond to over 30 specialized commands, to identify specific individuals as threats, to locate hidden supplies and evidence. It's unprecedented outside of military operations. "Emma knew the risks she was taking by testifying," Sarah replied. "She prepared for every contingency, including her own death." A knock at the door interrupted them. Dr. Martinez entered with Lily and Atlas. The child wore a simple blue dress, her blonde hair neatly braided, Emma's locket hanging around her neck. Atlas stayed close beside her, his demeanor professional and alert. "Look who's here to see you," Dr. Martinez said encouragingly. Lily's face brightened when she spotted Sarah, who knelt to greet her. "Hello, sweetheart. You look very pretty today." "Dr. Martinez helped me with my hair," Lily explained, one hand automatically finding Atlas's fur for reassurance. "She said I need to look nice to tell my story to the important people." "That's right," Sarah confirmed. "And remember what I promised Atlas, and I will be with you the whole time." Agent Williams approached slowly, crouching to Lily's eye level. "Hi, Lily. I'm Diana. I knew your mom a little bit. She was very brave and very smart." Lily studied the agent carefully before responding. "Did you help Mommy with her treasure papers?" "Not directly," Agent Williams admitted, "but I'm helping now to make sure the bad people are punished for hurting your parents." Lily seemed to accept this, her gaze shifting to the interview room visible through the glass partition. "Is that where I tell my story?" "Yes, but it's just talking, like we're having a conversation. Dr. Harriman will ask you some questions, and you just answer the best you can. If you don't remember something or don't want to talk about something, that's completely okay." Lily nodded solemnly. "I remember everything," she said quietly. "Atlas helped me not to forget." The statement might have seemed odd from another child, but Sarah had come to understand the unique relationship between Lily and the German Shepherd. Atlas had indeed helped her maintain her sense of reality during the traumatic aftermath, providing continuity and security when everything else had been chaos. Dr. Harriman, a gentle-mannered woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a calm presence, joined them, She spent several minutes chatting with Lily about neutral topics, favorite colors, books, activities establishing rapport before suggesting they move into the interview room. "Atlas can sit right beside you," she assured Lily. "And Detective Connor will be there too." As they settled into the room, Sarah noticed how Atlas positioned himself alert, but relaxed, creating a protective barrier between Lily and the door without appearing aggressive. His training was evident in every calculated movement. The interview began with simple questions about Lily's life before the tragedy, her home, her school, her parents. Dr. Harriman skillfully established a timeline, gradually working toward the night of the attack. When they reached that critical point, Lily's hand tightened in Atlas's fur, but her voice remained steady. "We were having spaghetti for dinner," she recalled. "Daddy kept looking out the window because he saw a car that shouldn't be there. Then Atlas started acting funny. Mommy called it his alert behavior. That's when she told me we needed to play our special hide-and-seek game." "Can you tell me about this game?" Dr. Harriman asked gently. "It wasn't really a game," Lily explained with the directness of a child. "Mommy and Daddy called it that so I wouldn't be scared. But it was really our escape plan. We practiced it lots of times. If the bad men ever came, I was supposed to go with Atlas through our secret tunnel." And what happened next that night? Lily described the chaotic scene with remarkable clarity, her mother's urgent instructions, her father retrieving his gun, the sound of breaking glass from the front of the house. Her account aligned perfectly with the forensic evidence, contradicting the initial murder-suicide theory. "Daddy told us to run. He stayed to fight the bad men. He fired his gun to scare them. But there were too many." Lily's voice wavered slightly. "Mommy pushed me into the secret passage, but she didn't come with me. She said she had to help Daddy. She told Atlas, Protocol Omega, which was our most important command. It meant Atlas had to take me away and keep me safe no matter what." Dr. Harriman nodded encouragingly. "You're doing very well, Lily. What did you see next?" "I didn't want to leave, but Atlas pulled me into the tunnel. There were little peepholes Mommy made so we could check if it was safe. I looked back and saw—" Lily swallowed hard. "I saw the bad men shoot Daddy. He fell down. Then they hurt Mommy. She was trying to run to the tunnel, but they caught her." At this point, Atlas shifted position, pressing his body more firmly against Lily's side. The subtle movement seemed to comfort her, and she continued. "One of the men, he was tall with gray hair at the sides. He put Daddy's gun in his hand after he was already dead. Another one said they needed to find me because I might have seen them. That's when Atlas pulled me all the way through the tunnel. He wouldn't let me go back, even when I heard Mommy screaming." Behind the observation glass, Agent Williams turned to her colleague. "Gray hair at the sides that's consistent with Morris's appearance, and the staging of the weapon in Reynolds' hand confirms what the forensics suggested." In the interview room, Dr. Harriman guided Lily through the rest of her ordeal, the 4 days hiding in Laurelhurst Park, Atlas finding food and water, keeping her warm, alerting her to danger, and finally making the decision to summon help when her condition deteriorated. "Atlas knew I was getting too sick," Lily explained. "Mommy taught him to recognize when my diabetes was bad. That's when he started barking the special way to call for help." When the interview concluded, Lily appeared exhausted but composed. Dr. Harriman praised her courage. And even the normally reserved Agent Williams seemed moved by the child's resilience. "That's the most detailed eyewitness testimony I've ever received from a child her age," Dr. Harriman noted as they left Lily with Dr. Martinez for a snack break. "Her recall is exceptional, and her account matches the physical evidence perfectly. It's enough to put Morris and Blackwood away for life," Agent Williams confirmed. "With Lily's testimony and the financial evidence Emma collected, we can dismantle their entire network." Sarah watched through the window as Lily shared her sandwich with Atlas, the simple gesture of generosity striking in a child who had endured so much. "What happens to her now?" she asked. The question that had been weighing on her for days finally voiced aloud. Agent Williams sighed. "That's complicated. As a key witness in a federal case involving organized crime, she'll need ongoing protection. The standard protocol would place her with a vetted foster family, possibly with relocation and identity change. And Atlas. That's where it gets tricky. Service animals typically remain government property. In most cases, he would be reassigned or retired to a handler." Sarah felt a surge of protectiveness. "They can't be separated, not after everything they've been through." "I agree," Agent Williams said, surprising Sarah. "Which is why I've been working on an alternative solution." She handed Sarah a folder. "This is a proposal for a specialized witness protection arrangement. It would allow Lily to remain with a guardian who already has a relationship with her, someone in law enforcement who understands the security requirements." Sarah opened the folder, scanning the documents inside. Her name appeared throughout, listed as the proposed guardian for Lily Reynolds. "You're suggesting that I take her?" "You've already established trust with both Lily and Atlas. You understand the case and the potential ongoing risks. You're trained in personal defense and threat assessment." Agent Williams smiled slightly. "And anyone with eyes can see you've already fallen in love with that little girl." Sarah couldn't deny it. From that first moment in Laurelhurst Park, something had shifted in her heart, a recognition, perhaps, that sometimes family is formed in the crucible of shared trauma and courage. "There would be support systems in place," Agent Williams continued. "Financial assistance for Lily's care, specialized medical coverage for her diabetes, counseling services, and security protocols. The Pacific Northwest K-9 Foundation has already submitted documentation classifying Atlas as Lily's official service animal for trauma support, which protects their legal right to remain together." Sarah looked again through the window at Lily and Atlas. The child was smiling now, a rare, precious sight, as the German shepherd gently took a piece of turkey from her fingers. In that moment of simple joy amidst overwhelming tragedy, Sarah saw the possibility of healing, of building something new from the ashes of what had been destroyed. "I'll need to make some changes," she said finally. "My apartment isn't suitable. My hours will need adjustment." Agent Williams nodded. "All manageable details. The question is, are you willing to become what Lily needs most right now, a permanent guardian who will love her, protect her, and respect the extraordinary bond she shares with Atlas?" Sarah Connor, who had spent 20 years in law enforcement witnessing the darkest aspects of humanity, found herself facing the most important decision of her career. Not about catching criminals or solving cases, but about creating a family where none had existed before, offering love in the wake of unimaginable loss. "Yes," she said simply. I am. Autumn painted the trees of Portland's West Hills in brilliant hues of gold and crimson as Sarah Connor carried the last box into her new home. The modest three-bedroom craftsman-style house sat on a quiet street with a fenced backyard perfect for a child and her German shepherd. 3 months had passed since that fateful morning in Laurelhurst Park. 3 months of testimony, paperwork, court appearances, and profound changes. Atlas trotted past her, carrying one of Lily's stuffed animals in his mouth, heading toward the child's new bedroom where Dr. Martinez was helping arrange furniture. The German shepherd had adapted to their new circumstances with remarkable ease, his mission to protect Lily evolving into a broader role as the cornerstone of their unconventional family. "I think that's the last of it," Sarah called, setting down the box marked kitchen on the granite countertop. The house had been secured through the Witness Protection Program's housing assistance, modest but comfortable, with security features discreetly built into its construction. The program had also provided funds to help with Lily's needs, though Sarah had insisted on contributing significantly from her own savings. Lily emerged from her bedroom, her face brighter than Sarah had seen it in weeks. "Atlas likes his new bed," she announced. "And I put my drawings up on the wall. Dr. Martinez helped me." "It looks beautiful, sweetheart," Sarah said, still marveling at how naturally the word of endearment came to her lips now. "Why don't you show me while Dr. Martinez takes a break?" Dr. Eleanor Martinez Ellie, now that they had become friends, emerged from the bedroom with a smile. "I'll put on some coffee. You two take your time." Lily took Sarah's hand, leading her to the bedroom they had painted together in soft shades of blue and yellow. The walls now displayed Lily's artwork scenes of forests and mountains, portraits of Atlas, and the beginnings of new drawings that included Sarah. A photograph of Emma and Matthew Reynolds sat on the nightstand, their smiling faces preserved in happier times. Beside it stood a newer photo of Lily, Sarah, and Atlas, taken at the cabin during their time in hiding, the first tentative image of their new family. "Do you think Mommy and Daddy would like it?" Lily asked, a question that still emerged periodically as she processed her grief. Sarah knelt to meet Lily's eyes. "I think they would love it. And they would be so proud of how brave you've been." The child nodded solemnly. "Atlas says they watch over us now." Sarah had grown accustomed to Lily's way of expressing her feelings through Atlas. The dog had become a safe mediator for difficult emotions, a technique Dr. Harriman had encouraged in their weekly therapy sessions. If Lily couldn't express something directly, she would attribute the thought or feeling to Atlas. It was a healing mechanism that Sarah respected. "I think Atlas is very wise," she replied gently. "And I think he's right." In the kitchen, Ellie had prepared coffee for the adults and hot chocolate for Lily. They gathered around the new table, another marker of their fresh start, to discuss final arrangements before Ellie departed for her shift at the hospital. "The school paperwork is complete," Ellie reported. "They've approved Atlas as a service animal on campus, so he can accompany Lily to classes. The principal was very understanding about your security concerns." Sarah nodded gratefully. Portfield Elementary had a strong reputation for supporting children with special needs, and their willingness to accommodate Lily's unique situation had been a deciding factor in choosing this neighborhood. "The trial date is set for January," Sarah added quietly, mindful of Lily's presence but committed to transparency appropriate for her age. "Agent Williams says Lily's recorded testimony will likely be sufficient. She probably won't need to appear in person." The case against James Blackwood and his network had expanded dramatically since Morris's arrest. The evidence Emma Reynolds had meticulously gathered had exposed corruption reaching into state government, the judicial system, and law enforcement across 3 states. Lieutenant Morris had accepted a plea deal in exchange for testimony against higher-level conspirators. Blackwood himself remained in federal custody, denied bail due to flight risk and the severity of charges that now included 2 counts of first-degree murder. "Speaking of Agent Williams," Ellie said, "did she mention anything about the threat assessment?" Sarah glanced at Lily, who was absorbed in adding marshmallows to her hot chocolate under Atlas's watchful eye. "She believes the primary danger has passed. Most of Blackwood's organization has been dismantled. We'll maintain security protocols, but they've downgraded the threat level." The conversation shifted to lighter topics as they finished their drinks. Ellie helped Lily unpack her books while Sarah organized the kitchen, Atlas moving between them as if supervising the entire operation. When evening approached, Ellie prepared to leave, pulling Sarah aside at the door. "You're doing something remarkable here," she said softly. "Not many people would have the courage to take this on." Sarah watched Lily arranging her stuffed animals on her new bed, Atlas lying protectively at the foot. "It doesn't feel like courage," she admitted. "It feels like the only possible choice I could have made." After Ellie's departure, they settled into their first evening routine in the new house. Sarah prepared a simple dinner while Lily set the table, Atlas observing from his designated spot near the refrigerator. They ate together, sharing stories and plans for decorating the remaining rooms. Sarah marveled at how domestic it felt, how right, despite the extraordinary circumstances that had brought them together. Bedtime brought the now familiar ritual of stories, Emma's locket carefully placed on the nightstand, and Atlas taking his position on the special bed at the foot of Lily's. Sarah sat on the edge of the mattress, smoothing Lily's hair as the child's eyelids grew heavy. "Sarah?" Lily asked, her voice soft with approaching sleep. "Yes, sweetheart. Are we a forever family now? You, me, and Atlas?" The question caught Sarah off guard, though perhaps it shouldn't have. Children needed certainty, especially those who had experienced profound loss. "Yes, Lily, we're a forever family." Lily's eyes opened fully for a moment, studying Sarah's face with that searching gaze that seemed too wise for her 7 years. "Good," she whispered. "Atlas told me you were the one Mommy would pick. He said you have a heart like hers." Emotion tightened Sarah's throat as she leaned down to kiss Lily's forehead. "That's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. Thank you for sharing that." "It's true," Lily murmured, drifting toward sleep. Brave and strong and full of love. Later, as Sarah sat on the porch of their new home, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of autumn leaves, she reflected on the extraordinary journey that had led to this moment. A chance assignment to a seemingly straightforward case had transformed into the most important mission of her life, not just seeking justice for Emma and Matthew Reynolds, but continuing the love they had for their daughter. Atlas padded out to join her, having waited until Lily was deeply asleep. He sat beside her chair, his intelligent eyes fixed on the darkening neighborhood as if still on duty. Sarah rested her hand on his head, feeling a profound connection to this remarkable animal who had saved Lily's life through his training, intelligence, and devotion. "We're going to be okay," she told him softly. "All three of us." Atlas leaned against her leg, his solid warmth a comfort in the gathering dusk. Together they kept watch, a detective who had found an unexpected family and a guardian who had fulfilled his most sacred duty, united in their commitment to a child who had lost everything, yet somehow, against impossible odds, found a new beginning. And somewhere, Sarah liked to think, Emma and Matthew Reynolds were at peace, knowing their beloved daughter was safe, protected, and most importantly, loved. In life's twilight years, we recognize true courage when we see it. This story of Lily, Atlas, and Sarah reminds us of what matters most, not our possessions or achievements, but the bonds that sustain us through life's darkest storms. Many of us have weathered our own losses, spouses, friends, sometimes even children. We understand that grief's weight never truly leaves, but somehow we find strength to continue. Like Atlas, who protected Lily with unwavering devotion, we too have been guardians of our families, our values, our communities. Like Sarah, who opened her heart to create a new family from tragedy's ashes. We know that love is not diminished by age, but deepened by experience. And like little Lily, who whispered her mother's wisdom through her tears, we carry forward the teachings of those we've lost. This story touches us because it reflects our own journey, the pain of saying goodbye, the courage to begin again, and the knowledge that family transcends blood. It reminds us that even in our winter years, we remain capable of extraordinary love, remarkable courage, and the wisdom to recognize that sometimes healing comes with 4 paws and unconditional devotion. In life's twilight years, we recognize true courage when we see it. This story of Lily, Atlas, and Sarah reminds us of what matters most, not our possessions or achievements, but the bonds that sustain us through life's darkest storms. Many of us have weathered our own losses, spouses, friends, sometimes even children. We understand that grief's weight never truly leaves, but somehow we find strength to continue. Like Atlas, who protected Lily with unwavering devotion, we too have been guardians of our families, our values, our communities. Like Sarah, who opened her heart to create a new family from tragedy's ashes, we know that love is not diminished by age but deepened by experience. And like little Lily, who whispered her mother's wisdom through her tears, we carry forward the teachings of those we've lost. This story touches us because it reflects our own journey, the pain of saying goodbye, the courage to begin